That was the voice of Leslie Hutchinson.
And the piano.
And the piano. Oh, he played so beautifully, and he sang so wonderfully, too. And before that, we heard Valeda Snow doing Some of These Days. Hutch, we did a whole program on here one time. We did an hour of Leslie Hutchinson. And in case some of our listeners didn't hear that, he was born in the West Indies and was going to school in New York and working nightclubs there in the 20s before sailing for Europe to perform in Paris and later in England. And you were telling me one night that nobody in that period recorded more Cole Porter songs.
Nobody did. He was a friend of Porter's, and he had all the necessaries. He played the piano and he sang, and he recorded but almost every Porter song that came along. He was an accompanist in the beginning in England. He accompanied people like Jesse Matthews and the American torch singer Helen Morgan. And Miss Matthews was responsible for bringing him out of the pit, as it were, onto the stage.
And then he started singing.
Yes.
What a voice. And you got to meet him, didn't you?
I met Hutch in 1957 in England. I'd met Elizabeth Welch in 1953 in France, and I said, I'm dying to meet Leslie Hutchinson. And she said, oh, I'm sure he'll be very nice to you. He said, you're younger than he is, and he'll like you a lot. And he was very, very nice indeed when I met him. We were photographed together, and I used to walk into English shops after that time and say I was Hutch's son. His daughter is around. She's a jazz singer.
Does she have?
She's a good singer, and she has done some singing in this country and on ships.
Does she have the same name?
I don't believe so.
Well, when did you first hear him? Were you able to hear his records as a kid in Danville, Illinois?
No, but when I was 12 and in vaudeville, I auditioned once for a traveling unit show. They used to call them unit shows because they were vaudeville shows that were all prepackaged. And this unit show was headed by an Australian fellow who lived in England, and he listened to me play the piano and sing. He said, you must come to England. So we have a gent over there who plays the piano and sings too. His name is Hutch. And I have a very good memory, and I remember that very, very well. He said, as a matter of fact, Hutch has a daughter who's about your age. Perhaps you should meet her. And I remembered the name. Then, of course, I began to see his name on catalog lists, and I finally got to hear him sing around 1943, 44.
Ah, I think he made some films, too. Have you ever seen any?
No. I recall a reference to Hutch was household in England, and his name was certainly household. And I recall a reference to him in a film called Passport to Pimlico, where somebody sat down at the piano and began to play, and a laborer came by and said, oh, well, you're better than Hutch.
Gee, well, I know he appeared in, it was either a film or a show called Happydrome.
Really?
I'm not sure whether it's, a screen appearance or a show.
Well, one should mention that part of the legend of Hutch was his public image. He was a dapper fellow who lived up every nickel of his earnings. He loved the racetrack. He loved women. He loved to eat well, to drink well. He loved to dress up. And he became the thorough English gentleman. In those days, that was quite a package.
Well, you remind me of him in many ways in that respect, and your repertoire as well.
Well, I tell you, it's one of those things. I think that Hutch opened doors that perhaps I could never have opened. I was delighted to meet such a legend, and he was awfully nice to me.